Hey guys, this is George here from George's Exotic Channel, and today I'm doing a video on painted reed frog care. So in this video I'm just going to go pretty in depth about the reed frog, because I have done a video on my painted reed frogs before, but that was just like a montage, a video clip type thing, just music put over the background. But yeah, this is going to be an in-depth care video about the painted reed frog. So a little bit about the painted reed frog first. So the painted reed frogs live around rivers and lake areas, so they live around a lot of water. So that's a key factor in building their habitat in captivity. They also can change colour slightly in different lighting, I have noticed with mine. I'm not sure if that's true for every reed frog, but definitely the painted reed frogs. Also, they are pretty active little frogs. I have two in this enclosure. One is here. I named them after Modern Family, a TV show that I watch. This is Phil. And this is Claire, which are husband and wife in Modern Family, if you wanted to know. But yeah, so let's continue. So let's start with the enclosure. The enclosure size. So you want the enclosure size depending on how many you have, and then I do advise keeping them in pairs or groups, because in the wild they hunt in pairs and groups or packs or similar things like that. But yeah, the size. So this enclosure, I'm gonna measure it for you guys in inches. So this enclosure, actually it's a 64 litre, which is perfect. It's fine for one. 12. It's about 18 inches long by 13 inches wide, and sorry, that's quite hard to measure, by approximately 10 inches tall. So yeah, that's mine, and you want them to have enough ventilation, so I'm going to row across here and a row across that side. The reason is because without that they can develop lung problems and respiratory problems and things like that. So we'll get into health later in the video. So, oh pardon me guys, sorry. But yeah, the type of enclosure. So this enclosure is literally just a storage bin from Tesco, but in the UK. But you could probably get it. You could probably get it from Walmart. You can get it online anywhere. It's pretty much just a storage tub. Now, these hold humidity very well, which is good. I don't recommend screen cages. They have got ventilation, but they don't hold enough humidity. So I recommend either a storage bin with enough ventilation, so I've drilled holes in here, or a glass terrarium, or the Exoterra. You could go for the Nano Vivarium, or similar to the Crested Gecko habitat. They like it quite long, but they also like it quite tall, which is the way I went with my enclosure. So yeah, now food and water. So I'm reading this off a sheet, guys. Sorry for your paper rustling. But yeah, so food and water. So let's start with food. So I feed mine a diet of woodlice, or springtails, or tropical woodlice, or whatever you call them. Those, and but yeah, they are all in here. I'll grab one for you guys. Sorry guys, it's hard to in the enclosure of them like this. Yeah, but I've pretty much got a pretty big breeding colony going on, yeah. But yeah, as you can see, they've got potato peelings in there and 2 halves of a cucumber slice. But yeah, they don't eat much. They're similar, just keep them the same as grasshoppers or crickets. But yeah, I don't have any live crickets, so I put canned crickets in there, which you keep in the fridge. I've got a little see-through food bowl unit. It's best to get a see-through one, so they can see their prey, and mine are pretty active. They will hunt their prey. They will stand on the bamboo sticks I have in there and stalk their prey, quite literally. So let me Mine won't jump out. I only got them. I got them about 10 days ago. But yes, there's the food bowl. And yes, that's the food. So water. So they do like to let's say bathe. But up here, there is a little section of water up here. Like it wasn't meant to be there, but I sprayed, and you can see there's a little puddle under my reed frog there. They are really pretty little animals. But yeah, as you can see, there's a little section under my reed frog there of water. So yeah, you can see that, and also I have a water bowl down there, which also helps keep humidity levels up. But we will talk about humidity later and the cage setup. Okay, so next is calcium. So you don't want to give these frogs too much calcium because they don't have an exoskeleton or a shell like a millipede or a tortoise or a snail. But if they're not being fed insects that have high values for them, you can dust their food with calcium powder and vitamin D3. That's what I do once every week. If you do it more, then it's just going to cause problems. So I recommend once every week, around that period of time. But yeah, there's calcium D3. A small little tub there. But yeah, so that's covering calcium. Okay, next is substrate. So in here I have two different substrates. So mostly about 2/3 or 3/4 of the enclosure is live sphagnum moss. I also have some fake rocks, if you can see it down there, underneath the food bowl. Try and focus the camera on it. Down there. But I also have some larger rocks each side of this plant pot. So I have some there and some there. So that's basically the substrate, but I also have some hides in there, but we'll get into that later in the video. Next is decoration. So these frogs don't require decoration, but it's recommended that they have a nice densely planted, lots of hiding spaces in their enclosure. So as you can see, mine is has got it's got pretty much a lot of hiding places. So the decoration, I have bamboo, but it's not really decoration. It's mostly for them to hunt. I've also got a plant pot over there. The fake rocks, I've got this vine here. It's an artificial grape tree vine. And let me try and get a little bit of this. I've actually got a what do you call them? A coconut den. So if you like that half a coconut, you can see it just under there. But yeah, that's pretty much the decoration I have in there. Next is heat. So they don't require high temperatures, but they don't require low temperatures. Guys, I'm just going to close my window for a second. Walk over here. That's my tortoise, by the way, guys. But yeah, so so there's be less noise. But yeah, we were on heat. So it doesn't need to be high, but it doesn't need to be low. Some people say they require a basking spot. They don't require a basking spot, though they do bask in the sunlight. But as you can see, there's a ray of sunlight coming from my window onto the enclosure. You don't want them in direct sunlight, otherwise it will burn them. And they'll get problems, health problems, and they'll get too hot and they will die. So you don't want it too hot, you don't want it too cold. I've got a thermometer down there. Focus on it. Sorry guys, it takes so long to focus. But yeah, I've got a hygrometer to the right and the thermometer to the left. So you want to be holding 18 to 26 degrees Celsius, and currently it is 20 degrees Celsius, or 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the current temperature in there. That's the air temperature in there, which is pretty good. And remember, when you place your thermometer or hygrometer or whatever, you want it to be where the frogs are spending their time. So I put it pretty much in the middle of the cage, because they don't really spend much time on the ground really during the day, because they are nocturnal. But they do spend a lot of time at the top of the cage, and a lot of time on the bamboo sticks here, and in the grapefruit vine over there. Which means this was a perfect place to put the hygrometer and thermometer. But now we'll get into humidity. So, to have humidity, you have heat. So if you can hold 60 to 80% humidity, that's perfect for these frogs. Now, there are ways to keep humidity levels up. Water bowl helps with it. I also spray with water around this cage 2 to 3 times a day. Here is my water sprayer. So I'll go and demonstrate over here now. So pretty much, I just lift the top off, and then I'll just spray throughout the cage multiple times daily. And since I forgot to note this in water, but we have water here now, so I'll say it now, they do need dechlorinated water. So the way you can get this, you can get bottles. You can either use bottled water, preferably bottled spring water, or you can use water purifier liquid or tablets for the water to make it, to get rid of the harmful chemicals that are in tap water. So you don't want to be using tap water, because pretty much anything this frog touches, it goes into their body, literally. So you got to be careful. And yeah, I really don't recommend handling these guys, because firstly, they are jumpy. Secondly, anything on your hand will get sucked into their skin. So say you just wash it with soap, harmful chemicals in soap, it'll get in their system. So it's handling best not advised for any amphibian really, but only handle them if you need to handle them, basically. Some frogs tolerate handling better than other frogs, but it's best just to leave them on their own. Okay, next is health. So these animals, frogs, I'd say most frogs are intermediate species. I've kept a lot of animals in the past. I've got millipedes, caterpillars, springtails, dogs, fish, tropical fish, spiders, frogs, if everyone would move to that, tortoise. I've kept numerous animals. I believe I'm in the intermediate section now. That's if you had a few years of experience. But yeah, so let's get into health. So firstly, I'm going to go over respiratory problems. So as I noted earlier in the video, you want make sure you have enough air holes to make sure they don't get any respiratory problems. So like I put a row this side and a row that side to make sure there's enough ventilation and air going through the enclosure. But you don't want too much, so humidity cannot build up in the enclosure. If there's too much ventilation, you can't keep humidity levels high. Next we're going to go through impaction. So this is a common problem between a lot of reptiles in the pet trade. So I recommend feeding them nothing. Well, with frogs, don't feed them anything bigger than their head. With snakes, don't feed them bigger than anything with the biggest point in their body. But with frogs, don't feed them anything bigger than their head. But yeah, you can see my frog Phil's head there. You don't want to feed him anything bigger than that. So small wood lice are perfect for that. And I cut up a large cricket into quarters or fourths. if you want to say it that way. But yeah, so you do, that also minimalizes the risk of impaction. I feel like I just said it differently. That decreases. That's what I'm looking for. That decreases the risk of impaction. Also, if the frog is eating off a smooth surface where it can't ingest, like say it's eating off this moss, it almost definitely will ingest some part of that, a little bit of that moss. The more stuff it ingests, the worse it gets for them. So I feed them in a feeding bowl, or another option is feed them with feeding tongs. I'll show you feeding tongs now then. Here we go. Here are the Komodo. How many inches? The 8-inch, I believe, or 10-inch feeding tongs. Which you can also use to feed the frogs, but my frogs, I've only had them for 10 days, so they haven't properly settled in yet, but they have not, they are pretty much quite scared of the feeding tongs. So I don't feed them with feeding tongs. I feed them in a feeding bowl, and they are healthy, they are fine, they are growing, so there's nothing wrong with that. And another health issue is toxins. So I went over this briefly earlier about handling. So they ingest anything, it enters their system, anything that they come in contact with. So you've got to make sure you use bottled or dechlorinated, or you use the water purifier or things like that. You want to make sure you've used them. And also, you want to minimize the handling. You don't want to really handle them that much. Even you want to handle them rarely, or even not handle them at all if there's no need to, because there's really not much need for me to handle them. Like, I just cleaned the enclosure slightly. I didn't properly clean it, because with the live moss there's no need to properly clean it. Like, say I need to wipe bits of mess off the top of the enclosure, I'll just open it a little bit, wipe it up, or whatever. If I need to get the water out, I'll just open the lid, pull the water out. I'm not going to stress them out by pulling them out or anything. So, yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much the end to this really in-depth video on the care of painted reed frogs. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, and please do consider seriously, I don't know what I just said. And please do consider clicking that subscribe button. And yeah, thank you guys for watching.